You're listening to the Flickcast, a podcast about stuff nerds love. I am Chris Ulrich, and with me, of course, Joe Dilworth. Joe, welcome back, and happy Thanksgiving.
Yes, same to you, and welcome back. Yeah, sorry everyone, we were indeed being lazy last week, but you know what? I think we're entitled.
Wow.
Here I go with the entitlement. I think
Damn.
we're
You're too woke, bro. That's the problem.
too woke. Yes, we were woke enough to decide. We need a week off. So
Yeah, I mean, it turned out to be very fortuitous because I ended up cooking Thanksgiving, and so that took a lot of prep time and trying to edit the show. And I missed doing the show. It was
I did
fun,
too. Yeah.
But yeah, it was okay to take a week off. But I don't even know if you have to apologize. But that was a nice thing to do. I'm not sorry.
I'm not. I enjoyed the time off, to be honest, because it was one of my first breaks from work and all that for a long time. So it was kind of nice to go.
Not
I
that
actually
this is
though
work.
did get a lot of stuff done, though. So around the house. So that
I
was
did
good.
too. I did a few things around the house. That's true. Now we have to transition to Christmas apparently because we have to have all the Christmas stuff immediately now that Thanksgiving.
That surprised you don't have it up already, but
Some of it is up. I'm not gonna
okay.
lie. But it was great. I enjoyed my time, and I'm sorry that Thanksgiving is over. But as all good things must, they have to end at some point. But I am thankful for being able to come back and do the show with you. And I'm it was fun. We had the family together and at our house, and we were it was a good time. I don't know if I want to do it again. It was a lot of work, but it was certainly good.
I don't know if I want to do Thanksgiving ever again, but hey.
No,
it
I mean
was fun.
cooking everything. Anyway, or Thanksgiving, yeah. Frankly, holidays suck, but I'm kidding. It was good, but there was a lot of things that happened while we were off.
Yes.
We ended up watching a lot of things. I know I did. I have a pretty good pick this week. I think you and I talked about it once, maybe a couple weeks ago. But I think maybe you'd watched it. Maybe I could totally be wrong. Anyway, and then we're going to get into Andor finale. We're going to get into Wakanda Forever. And of course, the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special, or holiday special. Sorry, not Christmas
Yes,
special.
holiday.
Holiday. Although it does say Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. So
It does, yes.
he covers all his bases,
It does.
as one does, as Disney does. But yeah, so do you want to, since Andor was sort of the furthest thing away, should we jump into the Andor finale, which I'm just going to say right now was awesome. There you go. That's all I have to say.
Yeah,
Just move on.
It was the best thing ever. That was
Pretty
fantastic.
fucking good. I'm just going to say.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, we can jump right into Andor because, man, that was
I just, you knew that you were never, okay, so this will be spoilers for Andor if you haven't watched
Yes,
it.
yes.
But this is the way, to borrow another phrase from another show, this is the way you do a show. I can see how people might be put off by Andor watching the first couple of episodes and going, what is this? And I had the same feeling a little. But I think that Tony Gilroy would be the first person to say that taking the break for COVID was the best thing that could have happened to the show.
Yes.
Because they had a chance to go, this isn't working. Let's figure shit out. And they did, and they course corrected. And, I'm not saying COVID was great, but it was great for the show. They were able to just go in a much more positive and much more interesting direction and just nailed it. I mean, really. And, it's so funny. I've seen so many memes about this already or whatever, but people are like, why do you need a lightsaber? Just pick up a brick, motherfucker.
yeah, exactly.
I love that guy, man. He's like, although I do feel a little bit bad. I felt some sympathy because the woman's like, no, not that brick. But,
Well,
whatever.
yeah, that's
Although it was good symbolism because she did say, I'd wake up early and go out and fight those, God, I love
Yes.
that, man. That was awesome.
yeah. That I just I would say not just as a Star Wars show, but as a show, it was just exceptionally well put together and well done, and yeah, it was so good. And I didn't even it didn't even bother me that there was no lightsabers or space wizards or anything in it. And
Well, I mean, maybe there is one. Who knows?
oh well, that's true. There could be.
You never know.
And it's just, I think it was, as we've discussed before, it's like, we always heard in the other things how terrible and oppressive the Empire was. And now we actually got to see it. And it's like, yeah those bastards, that's not really good. So seeing the whole formation of the rebellion and just some, man, amazing performances all around. I do like I don't know if it's him being generous or just the way it was written, but for a show called Andor, Diego Luna was very good about even in scenes that he shared with people, not being like, "Oh, I'm the star of the show. I want all the stuff."
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say that he's very. I think he's just a generally decent guy, and I think that he was probably thrilled that people got such good scenes. Like, well, I mean, Stellan Skarsgård and he didn't have that many scenes together, but I mean, it's like what's his face? Andy Serkis got a lot of good stuff, and I agree with you. They all. I can't think of one weak actor. When we talked about this before, they're all terrific, and I'm so glad that wasn't the last time we ever saw Fiona Shaw, and that she came back strong,
exceptionally strong
as a giant hologram.
Even the droid. I mean, it's
the droid's awesome.
Jeez, that got great.
Listen, if he doesn't sell a bunch of toys this Christmas, then Disney's doing something wrong. I'm sorry.
Exactly.
They don't know what the fuck they're doing, obviously.
And it pointed out one of the reasons why the people in the rebellion and the rebels are good people is, we say on Earth, see how people treat animals, right? That kind of that kind of shows you what kind of person they are. Well, same thing in the Star Wars universe, but see how they treat their droids, right?
Right.
And
well, that means Lando must be an exceptional person because he has relations with droids apparently.
Exactly. He knows droids in the biblical sense.
In the biblical sense, yeah. You're right. I mean, Cassian. It's funny. I've seen some criticism of the show where they feel like Cassian is actually the least interesting character on the show, and I wouldn't agree with that necessarily.
I would not agree with that.
I think that what Cassian's job is, and I think Diego Luna would agree with this too, is that his job is to lift everyone else up, right?
Yes.
And I think that you're absolutely. I think you nailed it. He's a person who's very generous and wants all these great people to get their moment. Like I mean, they finally got their moment in the closet together, And she's like, I guess I should say thank you. Like, yeah, you probably should.
Yeah, maybe you should. Yeah,
maybe you should say thank you with anyway.
No, come on.
As her head slides down out of frame. Sorry, that's terrible.
Oh, that's terrible.
No, she. I feel like she would want to receive. She seems like the kind of person who would drive that conversation.
This is not a very woke episode. Come on.
What? People can't give blowjobs in the Star Wars universe, I guess.
Anyway. Obviously I was wrong about Cyril because he's like definitely a believer, but just
I don't know if he's a believer in the Empire,
just
or
in her,
if he's just in love.
Yeah,
I think he's got those big puppy eyes for her. I think it's just all about Daedra. I love Daedra.
Yeah.
In fact, I think if he said, let's just go away from here, this is all bullshit, and she agreed, they would just fuck off and go live together on some remote pleasure planet. They go to Canto Bight, which gets a mention.
It does.
Finally. So that's canon, apparently. Not canon. But it's just all. It was so. They cram so much stuff in this. It's so good.
The whole thing in the finale that, Cassian goes to the one place he shouldn't go.
Yeah.
And while he's there, he's got 3 different parties basically hunting him down at the same time. Yeah. It was just like, geez, they know how to build tension and build it really well.
People are going to nitpick, how did he get there? Because, he's the wanted man, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's like, I'm sure they could take the time to, to show how he snuck on the ship and how he did this and how he
that wasn't the point, though.
That wasn't the point. No, the point was to get everybody together for this finale on this planet. So this is where the rebellion can kick off in earnest, right?
Yes.
People are like, I'm not taking this shit anymore. And this is it. It's not going to be back room. It's like Luthen was, he's been back room and he's been, on the down low and doing it in secret, but now it's open rebellion against the Empire, which is really, if you think about it, which is what happens in the Star Wars universe. I mean, these ships are hyperspacing around and blowing shit up and getting in fights. I mean, the rebellion is not exactly underground, right? It's like they've got ships, they've got, troops, they've got everything. They're out there fighting a war.
Yeah.
And, it was only going to be on the down low for so long. And I don't think that's why Luthen's like, okay.
Yeah.
This is cool. It might not have happened in the timeline that I wanted necessarily, but it's time to get, and my prediction, and I'm not the only person I'm not a prediction, but my feeling is that Luthen is not just a an art dealer. I think some people have said they think he's a Jedi. I kind of think he might be too, maybe. But
you think?
Maybe.
It just seems like he would have used his Jedi mind powers a little bit more, or has he? I guess.
Or has he? We don't know.
Maybe he is subtle about it, and that's how he's.
Or maybe he's like, maybe he's
people.
a fallen. I mean, maybe he just like didn't. He's a fallen Jedi, or maybe he's just. Or I mean, he did say he sacrificed everything.
That's
So
true.
he left the. I don't think he believes. I don't think he believes so much in the rebellion or in it. I think he just believes in that the Empire is bad and by any means necessary. So maybe not. Maybe he's not a Jedi, but maybe he's something like that, or maybe he's a guardian of the wills or something. But I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. I think
we'll see.
I think he's definitely one of those. Yeah, you're right. I don't know that he's like a staunch believer, but I think, as he said in his monologue, that he started something.
Yeah.
It seemed like almost as a whim or an exercise on could it be done, and this many years later, he's like he can't get out of it. He started something that is become its own thing, and he's caught up in it, and he can't quit it. I get the impression that he, especially because how good he is at disguises and stuff like that, or at least becoming different people. I mean, geez, just putting on a wig. It's like Superman with the glasses is like, wow, he's a completely different person the way he acts. He could have gotten out, I think, at any point, but it's like I have to see this thing through, and it isn't necessarily I think that he believes in we must rebel and overthrow the empire. It's like I believe in this thing that I started, and I want to see it through. And I know maybe those two things aren't necessarily different, but I think they are. I just think, so he's just like, I'm caught up in this, and you're not going to walk away.
Well, I think, I mean, that's why I think they got him together with Saw in a couple of scenes to show what a real sort of fanatic looks like. I mean, Saw Gerrera is like the Empire only, against the Empire. If there was an exact opposite, it's like he's wearing all dark colors, and the Empire's all. I think it's funny that the Empire all wears white clothes sometimes.
Yeah,
like we're really the good guys, but then all the regular troops are all wearing black.
Yes,
which is interesting. When did they switch to the grays? I don't know, but yeah, bringing Saw in was important. It's the other thing that's funny is Andy Serkis's character Kino Loy. I mean, we never see him die. So maybe he ends up becoming Supreme Leader Snoke at some point.
that could be it. He's like, damn it, you left me behind, and I couldn't swim.
I couldn't swim, so I had to float with my Jedi powers. Anyway, it could be the same person. It's possible.
Man, that final scene with Cassian and Luthen was just so.
Kill me or take me in. Yep.
I'm like, how can you say that Diego Luna can't act? Because that was just amazing, and his whole demeanor throughout the show just changes to where he is at the end of it, where he's just like, yeah, kill me or take me in. But I think by that point, Cassian is like, yeah, I'm a believer, I'm in. And I think that was kind of the whole point of the first season was to get him to the part where he is okay. Yep, let's do this rebellion thing.
Well, yeah, that's what Luthen said. I mean, you have to get to a point where you're willing to give it all up for something bigger, right? It's like you have to cash it all in. Yeah, you can see that transition, but he's also, I mean, Diego Luna is locked into choices that he made as Andor in Rogue One. It's like Andor was much more jaded, much more of a believer then, so it's like he can't significantly alter the character for the prequel because it's only 5 years earlier than that, right? So he definitely, I mean, the prison changes you, Joe. And I think
it does,
that's what made him realize that, the Empire is he already knew the Empire was bad, but they were like they say at the end, like they were not here. They would leave. And so we went on. But now he sees the suffering, he sees the wanton, disregard for life.
Yeah.
And he realizes that they got to be stopped, and he's willing to he's willing to do that. He was willing to fight to escape the prison, but also he's willing to fight to the death, probably. And unfortunately, if you see him standing on a beach looking at the sunset, you're like, oh, that's where you're going to die, bro.
Yeah, it's like, oh, well, that's
not that
foreshadowing. Beach, yes.
Yeah, not that beach, but a slightly different one, but basically the same thing. But yeah,
well, that lends weight to that scene in Rogue One. It's like, oh, I bet he's like going, yeah, I remember this. Not necessarily that beach, but yeah. And
I wonder,
Well, and thanks to the end credit scene, we know what the doodads are for. So that was cool.
Yeah, I feel like they had to do that. That might have
Yeah.
been even added later for fans because people are like, what the
What
fuck
are
are
you
they
building?
making?
Yeah, it's like ooh,
It's so cool. I love the fact that and this is a big spoiler, but I love the fact that there's like the exploded view, like you're building a Lego.
yeah.
It shows you all the pieces and how they go together. I was like, that's pretty cool.
It's like that's kind of cool. And then
It was, yeah, it was terrific. But you can't forget we're in the Star Wars universe, and that's the ultimate goal right there. That thing
Yes.
they show, that's what needs to be destroyed. That's the turning point for the rebellion, right?
Exactly. Yep.
That's the turning point. So, and that's the thing that's basically the reason that Cassian doesn't survive and whatever. I guess my question is, will we ever see, well, they haven't brought his sister back in yet. And will we see anybody from Rogue One show up in the second season, I wonder?
I believe we will as it goes on. Probably more towards the last third of the season, since that it leads up to Rogue One. I would imagine, especially if we're going to track, Mon Mothma.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, holy cow, hers like, okay, I've solved my money problem. My money being tracked. I'm going to blame it on my husband gambling,
Yeah.
who I believe him that he isn't anymore. It's like, wow, just throw that bastard under the bus.
Well, sacrifices have to be made for the greater good, right?
Yeah, and obviously willing to sacrifice her daughter, who is kind of seems to be all in on the whatever
On the
cult thing,
the cultish religion. Yeah. Yeah.
So-
I mean, Mon does end up, you never see any of those people later, and you know,
Yeah.
you know why.
But yeah,
She
as we track
sacrifices
her,
everybody.
exactly, as we track her in the second season, building whatever rebel base they have on Yavin, excuse me, on Yavin, I'm sure we're gonna get the other leaders that we've seen in that.
I can't imagine Jimmy Smits won't show up, right?
Yeah, he's going to show up. I'm trying. I don't even know the names of them, but a lot of the
General Nadine. Oh, General Dodonna, maybe.
Yeah, I think he'll show up, and
Whoever those other nerds were.
yeah, that's bound to happen. I think so, and obviously Melshi is going to
Oh, sure.
show back up, even though they parted ways. But he'll show back up. So
Yeah. Spoilers. He's in Rogue One. Everybody.
yeah, yes, exactly. And blink and you miss it, but not really blink and you miss it. He was part
No,
of it,
but I think it's nice that they show his origin a little bit too. I mean,
yeah.
you can understand why he and Cassian are close now. I just think you're right. I think you're right. That pets and droids are similar in some ways. Like if you're a good person to droids, then you're a good person. But I mean, how on the nose is it that the droid is named B2 Emo?
Yeah, it's like, well, some people have speculated that his processor gets put into K2SO to make him turn good.
Yeah. Well, you don't see what happens to. I mean, he's in the middle of the rebellion, so.
Yep. So we'll see what happens.
But his literal name is B2EMO.
I know. I'm like,
saying.
okay, that's a little on the nose, but I get it. So, all right.
But he's like I saw something that this gentle soul is too nice, is too sweet for this world. It's like he can't. He's a good boy.
He is. He's a very good boy.
The best boy.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it's a great. I mean, Star Wars is. These guys are nothing if not great at making you care about things like that. Like I was bummed when K2SO got killed.
Yeah, exactly.
But he sacrificed himself gallantly and violent, and he was funny. But it's not what's his name who's doing the voice of B2 Emo. So it's
that's true. Alan. Well, yeah. I mean, the
Tudyk
voice
is not
processor is probably what is on K2SO.
whatever. That's true. That's what K2. That's what the K2SO droids sound like.
Yeah,
maybe.
yeah. So I don't know.
But it's
we'll
Dave
find
Chapman
out,
who does the voice for B2 Emo in in Rogue One, or I'm sorry, in Andor. Yeah, it's great, and we get to see what happens to Bix, and we get to see what happens to pretty much everybody.
Yeah.
I was glad that Bix didn't get killed.
Well, yet, but
Well, yet. Yeah, I don't know.
maybe
I
not
think
though. I mean, yeah.
just because they don't mention all these people in Rogue One doesn't mean they're all not all still alive. They could still be part of the rebellion, or they could still be back on this planet, fighting the good fight.
Yeah, I mean, like we
whatever.
said, just because in Rogue One, Andor didn't go down the list of everyone he's known or been friends with at the beginning of the movie doesn't mean they don't still exist and are still alive. So,
Well, the other thing is Andor in Rogue One is not the lead. The lead is
Right.
He's a supporting character. He is not his job to be the focus of the story.
right.
You get a tiny bit of his setup, but that just follows all of this. That makes sense from this standpoint of how he got to that point. But it's not his story, really. I mean,
Yeah.
it is in some ways, but it's more Jin's story, right? Because it's
Exactly.
basically about her. And so the fact that he doesn't tell her, oh, here's all the people I used to know in the Empire and the Rebellion, I come from a planet, blah, 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 blah. It
Yes,
doesn't mean
exactly.
anything. So
Yes.
you don't have time for that kind of thing in a movie. So
I think it's I also want to mention, I think it's great that we have this whole character that we only ever see in a hologram, Krieger, that is talked about through most of the season and is like the big sacrifice of the season. And it's like even this unseen character and team that kind of made us care about because
yeah.
they build them up to, they're a big part of the rebellion and, they're going to do this attack and all this stuff. And it's like, but we're just going to
Well,
let them be
that's obviously
sacrificed.
that's a device to show Luke.
Yeah, but it's just like,
you know.
here, still, even then, it's like when it happens, you're like, oh man, Krieger, we hardly knew you, man. What the hell?
You saw a hollow of him though. He's
yeah.
a big,
yeah. So,
big dude, but yeah.
I don't know,
well,
12 episodes, and I don't feel like there was a filler among them, to be honest. Even saying that the first two were kind of like, well, but I bet rewatching it now, the first two will have a lot more weight to what happens afterwards. But I just feel like, it was. I don't understand the people that are like, oh, it was too slow and nothing was going on. I just feel like so much happened in every episode.
I think the complaints were also they spent too much time setting up the I can't remember the planet, but the heist, whatever, and all that, which was kind of a minor thing in later on. But you did meet some of the characters that show up later, and you did meet Mon's sister or whatever, cousin.
Yeah.
But you could have done that in maybe one episode or two. But I think the most important character maybe in that was what's his face? Oh boy, I'm forgetting his name. Karis Nemec, who wrote the manifesto. I think that was the reason that Andor was there in the first place, to get the manifesto, because it shows up in the
Yeah.
It's so interesting. I wonder where that comes from. If Tony Gilroy or whatever just came up with that, but it's like what is this? Oppression is hard. It's like you got to do it every day, and running an empire is not easy because keeping people down is like a full-time gig, whereas rebellion is something you can do or whatever. It's like they're it's tough. It takes a lot of effort, and those words, Cassian obviously he goes back to get that thing, right? I mean, he does go back to get his blaster, but he goes back to get the manifesto too, which obviously it means something to him. And plus, that character Nemec sacrificed himself for the rebellion. I mean, he just died because he was dumb, but still.
Died because he was dumb. Well,
don't stand there, dummy.
Or get out of the way. But
Well, just don't stand where the shit's gonna. We're gonna take this. Cassian told him we're gonna do this accelerated move straight up. Whatever. Obviously, that shit's gonna shift. Remember how heavy it was when you tried to get on the ship in the first
it's the
place?
heat of battle, man. He didn't know.
Don't stand there. Okay. Yeah.
Well, but Tony Gilroy knows how to. I mean, the whole thing with what's his name telling Cassian about Marva, in the final episode, I love you more than anything you could do wrong. It's like, holy crap, that's an amazing line right there. And just I don't know. I just felt like 12 episodes. I'm like, wow, we're already done with the season. It didn't feel like there was any padding or anything. And like I said, I felt like a lot happened. Although, as we mentioned earlier, it's like, well, I kind of hope they do something with the sister storyline in the second season, because that just kind of got forgotten pretty quickly. But
I wonder if it'll turn out that. Here's the way that
is Deidre his sister?
Well, okay, yeah, exactly. Here's the way that our thing about Cyril can pay off, because Deidre and Cyril are like he totally loves her, obviously.
Yeah.
So if it turns out that she is a deep cover operative for Luthen and also is Andor's sister, So that's where Cyril will be like, okay, I will join the rebellion. So they all join
Yeah, I'm
the
totally
rebellion
in on
together.
the rebellion now. Yes.
The rebellion is dope. I'm there. Because Luthen is not stupid. Luthen is the kind of person who would have more than one spy.
That's true.
So, or her brush with death changes her, maybe, because she realized, like, what the fuck are we doing here?
Well, and he also seems remarkably unconcerned about her, too.
Well, that's what I was saying. So I feel like
Yeah.
she's in on it somehow, maybe, or because she's trying to find Cassian pretty bad. Maybe she knows that she's Cassian's sister. I'm just saying,
So
there's
she's
more
trying
to
to
her.
find him so she can protect him and get him out of the way.
Maybe we'll see.
That, that's not a bad theory. That would make
Not a
sense.
bad theory. Because again, I don't think Luthen is the kind of person who just has one spy.
True, and you're right.
I
I think,
think-
Cyril would be like, "Oh, we're against the Empire. Oh, sure, whatever you say. I'm
Whatever you
with
say, honey.
Yeah, exactly.
I think, because the telling thing in this episode for me is how she falls apart so quickly.
Yeah,
It's like she gets rattled very quickly, which makes me think that her whole thing is just a sham. It's like it's a role
Well-
that she's playing, and
and she
know,
does
she-
seem
she
to.
doesn't actually shoot anybody.
Yeah, that's true.
So I'm just saying, I think that I think we're going to find that there's more to her than meets the eye. And I think it's that she's with Luthen, and I could go a step further and say that she is. I agree. I think she is trying to find Cassian to protect him and to bring him in because she knows that who he is.
Well, because she was very serious multiple times about, "I want him alive," and it's like,
How many
why-
times? How many times do I have to say that? I want him alive.
Yeah.
Well,
and why does she
and-
want him alive?
well, on the surface, it's because I want to get next to Axis.
Right.
But is that the only reason? I don't think so.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that theory, and I think that's.
Well, we'll find out in about 6 years.
Well, yeah.
No, they're already shooting everybody. They're already filming season 2 of Andor. It started right before Thanksgiving, so they're already filming it. So there you go.
Yeah.
It's going to come out next year,
Probably late next year. But,
late next year, but it cannot come soon enough. Although then I'll be bummed because it's only 12 episodes,
and then it'll be over. Yeah.
But then I can watch. Then I can watch. I think they're going to make a sequel to Andor, though. I think they're talking about that too.
What?
Yeah, it's called Rogue One. I don't know if you've seen it.
Really? Well,
Yeah, and they actually made a sequel to Rogue One too. It's crazy.
I heard they're making a sequel to Obi-Wan as well. So
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's funny when you watch a show like Obi-Wan and then watch this. You're like, wow, Obi-Wan is not as good.
no, that's true. It's like, wow, okay.
Let Tony Gilroy control everything. Yeah, I would say if I was thinking about my Star Wars shows, I still think Mando is a great show, but I don't know, Andor is pretty fucking good too. It's like it's hard to decide which one I like more. They're both really good in their own way. So
I keep hoping that as they're filming season 2, they're going to be like, you know what? There's no way we can do 4 years in one season. We need to have a season 3. But that's me just being selfish, and I know they've already got it written, planned out.
it's already planned out, and the money's allocated. And they
Yeah. So I'm just like, man, I can't believe we're only getting one more season of this.
24 episodes is a lot. I mean,
That's true, and I'm thankful. Keeping with the theme of the season, I'm thankful that we're at least getting this because it's just what an extraordinary show. I will definitely. I think when the second season airs, I'll rewatch the first one leading up to it, watch the second season, then watch Rogue One, and I think that will be just a really great treat. So,
what happened to Sergeant Moss? Did he die? Because I like him as a character too. He's funny to me.
the
guy who calls Cyril says, "Yeah, he's dead. Yes, you can come hit the planet." It's like
no, I don't think he died because I think we
good.
saw him
I think
post the explosions.
I like him. He's funny.
Yeah, he's like one of those that like I am going to be I don't care how batshit insane you are. I am loyal to you, sir. Whatever you want. Yeah,
I think I'm with you, sir, 100%. Well, I think he realizes that someone like Cyril's not going to stay down forever, and he wants to be there when he bounces up again. So
yeah, he was pretty great. You're right. I hope he.
I just like that character. I don't know why. And the actor Alex Ferns is just a funny guy too. It's just that actor is just perfect for that character. And perfect with his little Scottish accent, I just love it.
Well, it's a nice little the Empire, maybe one of the reasons why, or a good juxtaposition, I guess, between the Empire and the Rebellion. The Rebellion likes to, well, I don't know if we should do this, and let's, too many, I guess, chefs in the kitchen, where the Empire is like, you go by what your orders are, and you don't question them, and that's how we get it done, right? So
exactly. Yeah, I mean, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
but, yeah,
So,
he was pretty great. Yeah.
well, I also liked him in the Batman too. He was
Yes.
he was good in that. And I don't know. There's some actors that I just go, oh, that guy's good. I like him and what he's doing. And he's one of those sycophantic characters in this show, which I think is just it encapsulates like you said, all those kind of people who are just following along, who don't necessarily realize that they're following. They claim to be rebel, like independent thinkers and freedom and blah blah blah, but really they just want to be led around by the
Right.
nose. Like Cyril, I think Cyril's a little bit like that too. He's talking about this, but he will go wherever Daedra goes.
Right. Right.
But that's also because he loves her.
Well, he's just traded one,
One master for another, literally.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's like,
So
so you're right. If it turns out that she is like, well, I'm actually a mole, and honey, I have something to tell you.
Yeah.
And Cyril,
Or-
but Cyril will just be totally like, all right, let's do this.
or it'll end badly, and that's when Cyril will die because she'll have to kill him.
Oh, that could be. That'll be the final thing. It's like, all right, you're
Well, yeah, it brings more credence to the idea that Cyril and Andor will end up confronting each other, but Cyril and Andor will confront each other with her there, saying, "No, he's my brother," or whatever.
Yeah.
And he'd be like, "What? You betrayed me!" Blah 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 blah. And then either she will have to kill him, or Andor will have to kill him because Andor will kill him, no problem. But,
yeah, he won't have a problem.
but she'll have
yeah.
to do it.
Yeah.
which is the sacrifice she'll have to make for the rebellion. Maybe, I don't know.
Because he's like, he's right here. Let's kill him. And Cyril goes to do it, and she shoots
You
him.
can't do it. He's my brother.
Yeah. So
He ain't heavy. He's my brother. Sorry, that's an old reference. I apologize. But anyway, that's my theory. I don't know if Luthen is going to turn out to be a Jedi, but I feel like there's more to him than meets the eye.
he's a transformer. Wow.
He is a transformer, exactly. He's in his human form right now. But it'll be interesting to see the destruction of Mon Mothma's family at her own hand, basically.
Well, yeah, she's already laid the seeds for that because it's like,
She's
holy
giving
cow.
up everything, just like Luthen, to give up everything for the rebellion.
Yep.
So no wonder she's bummed during all the Star Wars movies. She's like, oh, the rebellion.
Well, maybe her husband and daughter end up becoming Bothan spies, and that's why in Return of the Jedi she's really sad about Bothan spies dying.
We haven't seen, we have not met any Bothans in this show yet. Too, we need to meet a Bothan.
Well, we don't need to see them yet.
But we need to see them so we'll care about them later.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
Because she's like bummed about the Bothans, but why does she care about the Bothans? We need to know these things.
that's true. Well, you have plenty of time for Bothans because they don't do anything with the first SR, or maybe they do. I don't know. Who knows?
Well, no, we know what happens with the first Death Star,
Well, yeah, that's true.
where the plans come from. It's the Bothans that help with the second one. So
Yeah, exactly. So maybe we get a series. Tony Gilroy can do a series on the Bothans.
do a series, the Bothans. There you go.
The Bothans. It's a sitcom. It'll be great.
No, it's the whole planet of spies. Basically, it's like oh boy, I'm trying to remember. Gordon R. Dixon, The Door Side. You ever read those books about the
No.
whole planet, like the whole planet of soldiers? They're basically like mercenaries for hire for other worlds that don't have armies. Anyway, so they spend their entire lives learning to be soldiers, and they're like ultimate warriors and whatever. So this is the Bothans at Botha or whatever it is. Their whole plan is like they just learn spycraft.
Nice.
That's the whole thing.
I'd watch that. That would be fun.
I would totally watch that. Yeah, they go from their central base to do like spy shit all the time.
Nice. Yeah, I'd totally watch that. Come on, Tony. I know you listen to this podcast. Make it happen.
Although when I also think of that, I also think about that skit on Saturday Night Live, The Californians too. But
Tony, or Tone, as I call him, because we're like that.
Tone.
I know you listen
TG.
to the podcast. Make it happen, sir. And, let us do some writing for it.
I call him TG.
TG.
Sure. Like I call you JD sometimes.
There you go. Perfect.
Anyway, all right. We could talk about Andor all night or all day or all the time, but we should probably move on to Wakanda Forever.
We should, yes. I think we might differ a little bit on this one, but
So I saw Wakanda Forever with at a kid's birthday party with me and the birthday boy's mom, and then 4 or 5 other boys.
Okay.
9-year-olds, basically 8 and 9-year-olds. First of all, I would say that they all sat still and watched the entire movie, which was impressive, except for the times they had to go to the bathroom, obviously.
Well, yeah.
But I didn't. I think it was a good. I think it was the right movie to make, and I think it was as a send off and an homage and an honoring of Chadwick Boseman's character and him as an actor. I think it was the right move. The movie felt kind of, I don't know, pieced together for me. I didn't love it as a Wakanda movie, but I really thought it was done well as a sort of what's the word? Not an homage, but a sort of a send off for Chadwick Boseman, I guess. A tribute. Thank you. That's the word. Yeah, a tribute to him. That worked, and I think that having Shuri be, sorry, spoilers, having her reluctantly take up the mantle of the Black Panther for this one movie was a smart way to go. But she's not going to be Black Panther moving forward, I don't think. But or the Queen of Wakanda either, because M'Baku is going to be the King of Wakanda. I bet you
he is. Yes.
Or he wants to, because she's not interested. She went and saw. She went and met. The spoiler at the end.
Yes.
Instead, and that's going to be. That's going to be where they go, I think, in this direction. But yeah, I didn't love it. And the action scenes seemed very disjointed. I liked Namor, whatever we're going to call him.
Namor.
He was I thought he was a great villain. I would watch a movie about him, and I know why they didn't do Atlantis and all that stuff because of DC and because of Aquaman. So yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. It just was more to me. It was more of a tribute to Chadwick Boseman than it was a movie, if that makes sense.
Well, you're wrong, but
you disagree with me totally.
I do. It's interesting because the tone of the movie to me felt a lot like. I don't know if I'll explain this properly, but the tone of it felt a lot like Eternals to me. And I don't really have a logical explanation for it, but just watching it, I got that same feeling. And I loved Eternals, and I know most people didn't like it, even though it did very well. But I liked it. But no, I thought, first of all, that this was the right way to go with honoring the character and Chadwick Boseman, especially, and knowing everything that happened, I believed that the grieving scenes were real and not acted, because he was.
Oh no, I agree with you. Yeah.
And I liked the story elements that it was built around. I don't know. I just thought it was a good movie. It was different in that it wasn't well, I want to say it wasn't like your typical Marvel movie, but I don't really think there is a typical Marvel movie. And I know a lot of people argue that there is, but I mean, even from the beginning, they've not hesitated to do different tones, different takes, and things like that. And I don't know. I really enjoyed it. I love the fact that, with Namor, they were like, yeah, we can't have another water-breathing king of Atlantis, so we got to do something different. And they built such a great backstory to him and culture that he's a part of. Even gave him, a little bit of humor, which was great. And they definitely kept the spirit of the character, in my opinion, from the comics. So I thought he worked great. I understand because of weird rights issues, they can't do a Namor movie. But I don't know if there's anything that's keeping them from doing a TV series. But I don't know that he's necessarily a character that needs to have his own focus. He can show up,
you're right.
Like in Fantastic Four movie, things like that. So I think that's totally fine.
The way they introduced him was terrific, and all of his henchmen on the whales and all that shit, that was super cool. I would totally watch more of that. He was a terrific villain, but also you understand why.
Yeah,
he was doing what he was doing. He wasn't like a mustache twirling villain. He was like, I'm protecting my whatever. And at the end, I think they come to an understanding.
Yes.
That now they know we're stronger together, because I really think the next Wakanda film is going to be America or whatever trying to invade Wakanda to get the vibranium.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's going to be this whole colonizing
or the world. I mean, because the French
or the world
already tried.
Yeah, exactly,
kind of.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So and that'll bring everybody together. But I don't know, man.
And I think I in my opinion, I think Letitia Wright and Angela Bassett did a phenomenal job basically carrying the movie because they were the focus, and I feel like they were kind of it was kind of handed off to them to carry the movie, and I thought they did great. Not to give, Denai Guerrera, I totally mispronounced her name, I'm sure. I don't know, I just thought it was great performances. I mean, the movie was a huge theme of, loss and grieving, even with, with Namor and everybody associated. And it was like, how does everyone deal with this? I don't know. I thought it was really good. Did it maybe feel like a transition movie? Possibly, but I don't know. I just really enjoyed it. And I liked that they slowed down from time to time so you could take in what was going on, because they introduced a lot in this movie, not just Namor but Riri Williams, who's getting her own TV show.
That also was part of the movie I didn't care for that much, but
okay. I think
sorry.
A big thing I liked about it was the very noticeable lack of whiteness. So I thought it was great, and the fact that they embraced.
Well, there was one white dude.
Well, there was, yes. Which man, I don't know. I really liked Martin Freeman as Everett Ross, and having Julia Louis-Dreyfus back.
Yeah.
It's obviously
cool.
They're leading towards Thunderbolts there, but
definitely.
I thought Martin Freeman was pretty great. I liked he's even to the so pro Wakandan that he thinks they're the ones that murdered everyone on that ship, and he's like okay with it. He's like, I totally get it. Oh, that wasn't you? Oh, okay. It's like nice.
No, I really, but you're right about Angela Bassett, who is always really good.
Gosh,
I think she was really was terrific in this.
Yeah.
But you're right too. Definitely some of that was real emotion, obviously, because when people they die before their time, unfortunately.
Well, and it sounded like the cast was very close, and
yeah.
I think Wright has talked about, he was kind of a big brother to her anyway. So, yeah, I don't know. I really liked it. I liked the fact that it was different, and I don't know that I had any expectations going into it. Not that expectations are wrong or anything. So maybe that played part of it. It was like, I'm just gonna go and see what Ryan Coogler has for me. I like the way he puts together movies too. So
yeah.
Anyway,
I mean, I didn't dislike it. It's just it felt more like and there's not that there's anything wrong with that. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that, but I think my response to the Riri Williams Ironheart stuff was like, that felt, here's the stuff we have to do for the studio to shoehorn this shit into our movie that's about something else. It's like, here's how I have to pay the bills, to advertise this new character for the studio. That part did not feel like it was part of the story. She invented this thing, and they only made one. I mean, whatever. But so that was when that took me out of the whole thing. That was like an aside that I didn't think was necessary to be in there. I would have cut all that out, to be honest with you.
Oh, okay.
And made the movie just focus on the characters and focus on the grief, focus on protecting Wakanda and that kind of thing. She didn't bring it. What did she do? I mean, what did any of them really do at the end except Shuri? I mean, they were all basically ineffective. Shuri made a deal with Namor, and that was how the thing ended. It ended in not violence, but M'Baku didn't really do anything. No one really did anything. They were basically going to lose, and but Ironheart being there was not useful, and she could have just not been there. They could have just cut all that stuff out, and it wouldn't have made any difference. So,
okay,
in my humble opinion, but
all right.
Anyway,
I liked it. So there.
That's fine. Well, that's fine.
I did even like. Well, maybe I don't want to spoil it, but there was a nice little cameo.
Yeah, well, I think that's out. I think people know, and that makes sense. That's who it was, more than anybody, because obviously they weren't going to bring Chadwick Boseman. Because that people would have like torn up the seats in the theater. And
it's like, we're gonna do CG Chadwick Boseman and some guy do his voice. Yeah,
no one would have been happy about that. Or they just fucking uncanny valley it together from some other shit.
Yeah,
these are some outtakes from the first Black Panther. Fuck you.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what would have happened.
And by the way, there was no way that Ryan Coogler was ever going to do that. he would have
No, of
walked
course
away.
not.
He
Of
would have
course
walked
not.
away from the movie before that
Yeah.
happened.
So I think having Killmonger in there worked well.
It did. It's like, you're just like me, and she's like, I think that's also why she won't be necessarily the Black Panther, because she realizes she is like him a little
Exactly.
bit.
Yes.
And she's like, no, I don't think I can
Yeah.
be the. I don't think, which is why M'Baku can't. I think it has to be T'Challa Jr.
Well, here's what I think.
Or how's that going to work? We're going to have the third movie be 20 years in the future. I don't know.
I think the next step is that you don't just have one Black Panther. I mean, you have one leader,
maybe.
obviously, but you don't have just one Black Panther. That it's like almost like the Dora Milaje. It's a group, and you never know who it is you're facing.
In their little blue outfits, the angels, whatever, they come. And
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I really like this. I like the stuff with Dana Guerrera and her relationship. They do bring up her relationship with her husband, who apparently is in prison for his part in the first in the game. And she has a complicated relationship with the Queen, and that's a lot of good stuff. But yeah, I think the thing that really was the strongest for me though was the villains and the introduction of the villains, and their whole thing just made sense. Their whole world made sense, and it was really cool. It was really well done. And they all kind of they weren't just like faceless bad people. They all had
they had purpose.
Stuff.
Yeah.
And it was cool. And that's a movie that I was interested in watching. Those characters and Namor and his relationship with Shuri and all that stuff. That was when I was paying attention to the movie. When they went to college to find what's her face to do that's like, oh, come on, seriously. And that just felt to me again like,
oh, okay.
Here's how we have to, here's the thing we have to introduce to the character, and they do that in all the movies now. They have to bring in another character to whatever, which is fine.
Maybe that was just like, well, yeah, this is what we're doing now, and I was like, okay, well, I'll just go on with it. So
it's the perfect time to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, I do want to give another
some more popcorn.
Do want to give a shout out to the AI voice, Trevor Noah, doing a fantastic job as the AI voice. That was kind of fun. But
I'm hoping he'll get more work. That Trevor Noah, worry about him.
Yeah, I'm concerned about it. Well, I'm hoping maybe Riri kind of stole or borrows the AI for her.
Is he the new Jarvis? Is that what
yes,
Jarvis?
Yes.
But the new,
Jarvis or Friday or whatever the most current one was. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I guess Friday was the most recent one because Jarvis became whatever.
Yeah.
I wonder if you'll see more of Lake Bell's character, because I guess she does. We don't see her die, right? We don't see a body.
That's true.
Maybe we'll see more of her. Yeah. Anyway, I think
I liked it.
I really think it's the best movie they could have made given the circumstances, because I also feel like they probably weren't that enthusiastic about making a movie without him.
Right.
It's like, how can we do this and make it, not a fucking pandering thing, and make it, honor him, Chadwick Boseman, and do it right. I think they were really important. It was really important to them to do it right, and I think they got it right most of the time.
And thankfully, nobody was like, "Let's recast," because
I'm sure somebody said that.
I'm sure. I know there's been a lot of feedback from fans that are like, "I would have rather them recast," and I think that just would have been 1,000% the wrong thing.
Well, instead of make Letitia Wright be Black Panther, yeah, of course,
right.
People don't like her.
Yeah, of course.
For many reasons, but I mean, she's also an anti-vaxxer, which bothers me. But that didn't. I wasn't looking at her going, "Oh, she's an anti-vaxxer" during the movie. I thought she did a good job. Do I want to watch an entire Black Panther movie with her as the lead? I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think she's strong enough to carry a movie like Chadwick Boseman was. She doesn't have that screen presence and that charisma that he did. I think that they need to move on. Like, maybe you're right. Maybe it'll be multiple people who defend Wakanda, and maybe they're whatever. But the movie is called Black Panther, and there will have to be a third Black Panther film. So there will be someone who takes up the mantle at some point.
Yes.
But yeah, of all the characters we have so far, who could it be? I mean, it can be M'Baku. It could be, I don't know. Maybe it will be her. I don't know. I don't know if I want to see that. But maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe it'll be amazing. I don't know. Once they've got this, they've done this part, and maybe they'll.
Interestingly, though, seeing interviews with Ryan Coogler, that this movie was always going to be a movie about loss and grieving. Originally, though, the original plan was it was going to be about the blip, about the people that went away and came back because
Right.
of the snap, and what was lost because of that, and a deeper exploration of that, which I would have also have loved to have seen.
Well, they did. I think they did touch on it a little bit.
Yeah, they did, but
Yeah, I mean, because that was going to be because Chadwick. I mean, T'Challa had blipped away.
yeah,
So
exactly. So
we don't know, but we don't know what happened to everybody during that from
Right.
Wakanda. I'm not sure what
So
happened.
that would have been interesting exploration.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we had to go the direction we went in, but
Yeah.
very definitely a moving and great tribute to Bozeman. So
Yeah, definitely.
so hopefully the third one will be more back on track for you. So
Well, it's not for me. It's just I respond to things differently than you
Yeah.
do sometimes. I didn't hate. I mean, I didn't hate it for
No,
sure,
I
and I
know.
would definitely want to watch it again. But and I will say that I was distracted because of the kids too, and so I will be able to pay more attention to it.
yeah,
But that some of that stuff did take me out, especially the Riri Williams stuff. But that's you can't have everything be a downer, I guess, right? So there's got to be some lighter moments.
yeah.
So I would also I still think that Nakia Lupita Nyong'o's character is sort of not wasted, but she could have been the focus more, and maybe she will end up being Black Panther. I'd be okay with that.
She could be Black Panther while she trains her son to be Black Panther.
This is what I'm saying. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
okay.
think that she is, first of all, a much better actress, but also has a greater amount of screen presence than maybe Letitia Wright does. No offense, she did a good job, but it's not. She's not. I mean, them together, it's like there's no contest in my opinion. So,
Yeah, I would
is,
agree with that.
which one is stronger in that respect? So, I would watch that, but I'll watch the third movie. I'll watch everything, as you know, we all watch everything. So,
Absolutely, of course.
speaking of watching things,
Yes. What else have we watched?
I watched the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special.
Yes.
And I have no fault with that at all. It was a delight.
It was.
How could you not love this beautiful 40 minutes of love, basically?
It was.
I mean, okay, if I have to nitpick, which I like to,
Okay, fine.
I will say that I did not like Chris Pratt in this at all. I don't know why.
Interesting.
He kind of turned me off. I'm like, he's just like, I don't know. It's hard for me to. He seemed like he was not having any fun. Like he was just like,
Well, you just have one more movie to put up with him, so.
do I? I guess.
Yeah.
So. Well, what about the sequel to that series where he's the Navy SEAL who kills people?
You don't have to watch that. I'm just saying.
That's
if
true.
you're-
I can hate watch it.
Yeah. Yes, you
don't know.
could do that. Sure, why
He
not?
was fine. I like the animated Star-Lord better. Yeah. I loved it though. It was great, and I love the fact that Kevin Bacon was all in for this thing too.
Oh,
he's
yes.
like,
Yes.
fuck yeah, man. Whatever you want to do.
That was, and he even got to
wonder if
sing,
that-
too, so
I
that's
wonder if
great.
that's his real house. That's a pretty nice house.
I know. It's like, dude, can you adopt me? Because that's a great
No,
house.
his address was the year that he got kidnapped from Earth. Come on,
Yes,
that's
yes,
not
yes.
anyway.
But he got to sing in it. It was great. It was awesome.
He did, and that band was great too.
Their little Christmas song was pretty fantastic, which is out. It got released for those of you that want to listen to it. I thought it was a great Christmas song.
Written by James Gunn. That guy's a talented guy.
He knows how to sling some words. He's pretty
He
good.
does, and I like the fact that Kraglin got a lot of stuff to do. Well, I mean it's Sean Gunn, so it's like I'm going to give you the whole episode's about you, bro.
Yeah.
So
Well, they did a lot of good setup too for the third movie. I mean,
Yeah.
they bought Nowhere from the Collector, which is pretty big. They have a new ship,
Yeah, I
the
mean-
Bowie.
well, how did they get? Did they get it at a fire sale or something? Because
I don't know. Maybe because it was.
where'd they get the money for Nowhere? I wonder why. I wonder why they bought Nowhere. I wonder if he thinks that that's when Gamora's going to come back to or something. I don't know, but
They got. I mean, they made. I think they made quite a bit of money with Thor helping them save planets and stuff like that. So
but who do you bill for that?
yeah, I don't know. But yeah, no, and then nice little. I don't know if we want to spoil it, but a nice little reveal during the episode
Yeah.
about him and another character, which I thought was
It's not.
really cool.
if you look closely in the second movie, there's definitely when Ego's explaining everything. I don't want to spoil it, but when he's explaining, there's in his like montage of things that are happening, there's definitely one of those races in the group.
Yes.
Yeah, so that it fits.
And see, I thought Quill's reaction to that was pretty fantastic. So
yeah, I thought that was a pretty good scene actually. Yeah, I wonder, are they just filming Guardians of the Galaxy and they just did this in between or during?
They did do this as part of the shooting for the third movie. So
okay, yeah, that makes sense because everyone's has their costumes and everything, and Chris Pratt looks like he's fit, so he's ready to go.
Yeah.
Although his hair was different in a couple of scenes, so that was interesting.
Yeah, I was like, well, is that a wig? Okay.
Well, yeah, when you first see him, it looks like he's got like a curly wig or something, and it was like, what? So maybe he shaves his head during the movie, the Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Maybe.
Or maybe that was when he had just come back from doing the Seal movie and he had shorter hair or something.
Could be. And we got a swole Groot, so.
That's right. Groot's been lifting or something.
Yeah, he's more like Vin Diesel.
He's getting those gains.
Yes.
So. Yeah, and Rocket, of course, love that.
And Cosmo's back. I'm very happy about that.
Cosmo.
So,
I want one of those treats in your belt. Cosmo.
So Kraglin is a member of the crew now, which is kind of cool. And
yes, it is. Yeah, it was great. I love the fact that they did the animation to bring back Rooker because bring back Rooker.
Yeah.
And it's like that sort of 80s 2D animation, like the Lord. For some reason, I thought it was like the Lord of the Rings movie.
Yeah, Ralph Bakshi movie.
Yeah. I was like, oh, that looks
exactly.
Like that.
Yeah.
Even with like the sort of staccato kind of 6 frames a second kind of movements and everything. I just love that because that's the shit I grew up with, and of course James Gunn grew up with the same stuff as we did. So
well, it was nice little keeping in with how Yondu was. It's like Kraglin's like, yeah, Yondu ruined Christmas and stuff, and Peter's like, well. That's not the whole story.
Well, sure, because now we know that Yondu was not an asshole.
Right.
I mean, he was a human trafficker, but
well, yes, but for good.
But for good, yeah.
So that other people wouldn't traffic kids.
Right, exactly. Yeah, he did it for the right reasons.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, and I like that. It was funny to see. There were some good scenes with Mantis and Drax too. There was some good.
They make a great comedy duo for sure.
They do, and by the way, did you notice that there were some Kingo posters?
Yes.
in the show,
yes.
Which means those movies are canon. And of course, how could he be releasing more movies? Because he disappeared at the end of Eternals. Spoilers. If you
that's
Eternals,
true.
So how's he doing more movies? I wonder. Anyway,
and GoBots exist in the Marvel universe. So.
I love the fact GoBot killed his whatever, killed his brother. Oh my god. The funny thing is that is like one of the few places in Hollywood that you could go where people wouldn't think you were weird because there really is people right there at Hollywood Boulevard
dressed up and taking pictures.
Dressed up in taking pictures. That's where people go for the Chinese theater. Although I don't think it's called the Chinese theater anymore. But that's like there's also right across the street is the Disney theater where Jimmy Kimmel does his show, but they also have a lot of stuff at the Disney thing.
Right.
But that's all been redeveloped and it's all nicer now. But that's where you would go. It's pretty funny. And of course, not everybody knows that, but it is one of those places where you would go and people want to take pictures. Dude, it's like, that's like the God of War guy,
Yeah. Yes. And Kevin Bacon mentions Batman and Bruce Wayne, but in the context of, characters instead of them existing in the Marvel universe. But that was pretty funny too.
They already mentioned Superman in Eternals, right?
Oh, that's true. Yes.
Because he talks about, he said, no, that's Superman.
Yes.
Because that's Icarus. Icarus can fly, right? And has laser beams out of his eyes.
So, that's right.
Just like Superman.
But it was a joy. It was musical. It was comedy. It was heart in the right place. It went by too fast. And of course, there was the stinger at the end where you get, whoa, why can't they do it? He said, Kevin Bacon says, see you at Easter. Yes.
And,
yes.
And then Rocket's like, well, now,
now we have to do another special.
Another special. Yeah. Because Groot is a tree, but not a Christmas tree, apparently.
No.
So there you go.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
It was. I really liked it. And it was a good uplifting sort of happy thing that I think people will enjoy.
Yes.
But I mean, it's also serves a purpose. I love the fact that they still managed to get some little nuggets in there for the third movie. So it's still advertisement in a way too.
Yeah.
But it's also, it was also entertaining on its own. So apparently he pitched this like 2 years ago or something, and finally
Nice.
decided to make it. So he wrote it in a weekend.
I like their new ship, the Bowie, though. It looks really cool and very spacious
does.
on the inside too. So,
It does, yeah. Well, I'm sure that'll figure prominently, and they'll be at nowhere, and they'll be,
yeah.
we'll explore more with Quill and his his new relationship that he just found out about.
Yes.
And then obviously, we will see
Gamora, you think?
Gamora come back again.
Yeah. Well, Gunn has said that this is the last movie with this crew as Guardians, and that it will follow through on Rocket's origin. So.
Yeah, definitely. We will definitely see Rocket become what he becomes, and then we'll definitely. I think Gamora will come back.
Yeah, I think he'll resolve. Right? I can't imagine he would leave that hanging.
Well, but will it be the same? Because it's Gamora from it's
pre Quill.
Well, obviously, if you believe in destiny, they're destined to be together anyway, right?
That's true. It was either him or a tree. Wasn't that the line?
Yeah. The choices were limited. So
I love Nebula. She's just so droll, but she's obviously become part of the team. I mean, she gets she gets a present, and
those presents were great. The one that Kraglin got in particular was great because it was him opening his gift. Like 4 levels deep, Inception wise. Yeah, it was pretty funny.
Good on Groot.
And obviously, Groot, he just made those because literally just like all that stuff just happened, right?
Yeah. So that's him. Pieces of him that he made. It's like, wow, that's a pretty amazing gift. But yeah, I think Nebula is definitely she's not the bitter thing. I maybe despite her best intentions, she's like, okay, these are my people. This is my family. So
she found her family. Well, she, I think she had found that, in the second movie, and also in Endgame and stuff, she realizes that she basically realized that her father was evil, and that her whole life had been a lie, and she's like,
her sister actually did love her,
and she never had that, and now she's got family, and she's happy. So they're all happy, and then it's got to be destroyed because they're happy.
They're all going to die
they're all going to die in the third movie. Yeah. But my other question about Nebula's character is, how did she get her present for Rocket?
Yeah, I know that you're right.
It's like
wait a second.
Isn't he still got that at the end of the other thing? It's like, how did he get it, and why is he not using it? I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah, and it wasn't.
It was the new one.
Yeah, it was Wakandan made. It wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't like, oh, here's my old one. No,
I'm gonna get that. But you got it, and it's like, what?
Yeah, that was pretty great. See, she pays attention.
So. That is a story that we need to know.
Yes.
What happens? How does that happen? Because that was very strange.
I bet that was meant as a throwaway, but it's like, I need to know.
No, it wasn't. There's nothing like that. There's no throwaways in this. I think it's all connected, man. It's all
connected. It's all
connected. So there's going to be a story where she got that. Maybe
that'll be the Easter special. Let me tell you a story.
Exactly. Well, maybe he just gets a new one,
Yeah.
Maybe the WW gets a new one. I don't want to give it away.
Yes.
You know what I mean by WW, though, right?
Yes.
Okay. Anyway, I'm sure it won't be that hard for people to figure out, but if you've watched the show,
you got to watch it because it's great.
It is great. I'd say the sort of the Marvel specials, these little special, whatever you want to call them, they're 2 for 2 now because
Werewolf by Night.
Yeah, Werewolf by Night was awesome, and this is awesome too. So,
and can I just say that I love the fact that they use like a 70s style special presentation thing at the beginning. That's just fantastic. Oh, that was the other thing I wanted to mention about Black Panther real quick. Sorry.
Oh, sure.
I did like the Marvel Studios intro was not only silent, but it was all images of Chadwick as Black Panther. I thought that was very classy and very nice.
Yes.
So anyway.
Yes.
Back to Guardians.
Exactly. So, I mean, the only time... Well, anyway, I'm just wondering how... Okay, we don't have to talk about Nebula and her present anymore, but I'm just trying to work it out.
Well, yeah, it does beg the question, how did she get it? You're right.
Well, it's like she hasn't been back to Earth in a while.
That we know of.
Since, well, that's true. Since Tony's funeral, right? So it's like,
Yeah. But
how long ago was that?
Well, we don't know. In their adventures with Thor or afterwards, maybe she's like, hey, I got to go take care of something. And
I got to pop by Avengers HQ real quick.
see if they got any of these things lying around.
new and improved Avengers HQ, wherever they're going to build that.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I don't imagine that Guardians 3 will go to Earth at all. I imagine they'll be out in space, and there'll be something. But yeah, it's gonna start with Rocket. I can see the movie now. It's gonna begin in the lab, and they're gonna be showing Rocket's character, and then
yes,
all that'll happen, and then how he gets.
And then we'll get a '70s song, and it'll seg into present day, and
then he'll wake up in the chair on the Bowie. He'll be thinking it'll be his dream. He'll be thinking about how he was created or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's probably too on the nose, but you definitely will get that resolved, and we need to see because it was teased and never really addressed. And he's a fascinating character, I would say.
I agree, and it will be nice to see. I mean, they totally set it up in the first movie when you see all the circuitry on his back. So
exactly,
got to pay that.
Well, who's the character? There's a character that's in the third movie that does those kind of experiments. I'm trying to remember his name.
Well, and I think it was the same one that is responsible for Rocket.
So we don't.
Yeah.
And then of course, will Kang appear? Probably. We'll see.
Yeah, he's going to appear everywhere apparently, starting with Ant-Man. So.
Kang.
Oh, Kang.
He's just misunderstood.
Yes, he is. Or he who remains, or Immortus, or.
Here's another bit of Marvel news. They got a new director for Blade. So that's
good. So they can. It sounds like they're going to tweak the script and move forward on that. So that'll be good.
I mean, how do you really have to tweak it? He's half vampire, half human. He kills other vampires. That's the movie. What else?
That's the
what
whole
else you need to know?
Right there. Yeah.
That's basically the whole movie. And he tries to, he tries to stop. I think I'm going to just throw out a guess and say they're a little bit skittish about vampire movies because of Morpheus.
Yeah, probably. So they're like, we got to get this right because we
got to get this right. Otherwise, it's going to be people are going to think it's ridiculous.
Yeah, we can't. Yeah.
And I will say that they have a lot to work for because the original Blade with Wesley Snipes was actually a pretty good movie, I think. So quite good.
One more thing from Black Panther.
Sure.
Namor very pointedly describing himself as a mutant, for those of you keeping track of such things. So another call out to mutants following Ms. Marvel. So
Namor was the first mutant.
He was
supposedly
in the Marvel universe. Supposedly. Opposably. I don't know.
Supposedly, yeah. I did like the fact that they went with his comic accurate wings too.
Yeah, that was great. It's like that could have been really bad, but
people could have thought that was stupid. During the scene with the helicopter, I'm like, why is he? Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
I forgot. Like, oh, that's right. Yeah, he's got wings.
He's had Red Bull.
He's had some Red Bull. Yeah, exactly. And they give him his pointy ears too, which I think is terrific.
Yeah.
So, anywho,
we should go on to picks. What do you think?
Yeah, that guy was great too. That actor.
No, I think he did a fantastic job. I'd like to, again, like you said, I'd like to see more of Namor. So
he never knew how to swim before the movie, apparently.
Really, that's interesting.
Yeah, you're playing someone who's at home underwater,
who lives underwater. So
yeah, you probably should learn to swim. I'm sure it said that you could swim on your resume.
I bet it did. Oh
it
yeah.
Also said I can ride a horse. I can swim. I can do stunts.
Absolutely.
Whatever you need.
Yeah, well, I can do it. I'll learn on YouTube. It'll be fine.
I say that in jest, but that is a running gag in the business where people always put shit like that on their resume and headshot saying, I can do anything.
Even if they can't.
And then quickly, once you book the gig, you're like, I need to learn how to swim now.
I need to go hire a trainer right now.
I need to hire a trainer right now to show me how to fence.
Yes, because I said I was an expert fencer. Oops.
I could do stage fighting. What does that mean?
Yeah, exactly. What is that again? I don't know. Sure.
I can ride a motorcycle. I can ride a horse. You can learn how to ride a horse in a weekend, sure.
You could. You can totally do that.
Yeah, totally. What could go wrong? But I mean, I suppose you could make the case that once they want you for the gig, they're gonna, try to help you.
Yeah.
Do that or whatever.
Well, I said I could ride a horse, but not necessarily the way that you want me to. So I can ride
those horses that you see at the carnivals where they're going in circles on that thing. Yeah,
that are tethered. Yeah, I can do that.
And obviously, within an inch of death, those poor
Right,
things.
right.
I can absolutely ride those horses. Hey, I've been thrown from a horse before. I know it's not fun. So,
Ooh, that's not good.
well, I was younger and dumber, and I got thrown off, and I was like, and to my credit, I will say I got back on and rode the rest of the way back. But
Got back on the horse. There you go.
I did. I mean, you know what? That's a joke, but I was like, and I'll never be afraid of horses now because of that.
You know the worst they can do.
Well, the worst they could do is crush you under them when they fall on top of you, I suppose. But how many times have you seen that in a movie? Somebody gets crushed under a horse.
Well, I mean, it happened to
Those things are
Christopher
heavy.
Reeve, but
Oh man,
I
Why you
guess
gotta
he
go
hit
there?
his head. But
I think he hit his head on. Yeah. So,
Man. Well,
but that's what happened to the king in Lord of the Rings.
no, that's true. Yeah,
He got crushed under his horse.
he did. Yeah.
Or in one of my picks, there's a thing about it. Anyway, it doesn't matter. All right, so let's go to picks. Do
Yes.
you want to go first, or shall I go first?
I'll go first because
Okay.
I'm gonna pick
The James Gunn Holiday Special. Oh, sorry.
No, well, I am going to pick a holiday special, but one from Days of Yore. I'm going to pick the Star Wars holiday special.
Oh God! Happy Life Day, Joe.
Yes. You know what? Even as a kid, I love this thing. And I would say maybe I wasn't old enough to really know what was going on, but even then I was like, okay, so they're on something or drunk or something. And in later years, they've revealed that the three main characters were high as a kite when they did it, which
Oh yeah.
which says a lot and makes it a lot more understandable. But I don't know. It was a lot of fun. The big hype, though, back in the day, was that it was going to be the first appearance of Boba Fett, which happened in an animated sequence, oddly enough. So there's a precedent for holiday specials having animated sequences that
Right.
carried over to Guardians. So, it was the first time we got to see Boba Fett other than being a guy that no one knew who he was in a parade. And it was, I don't know, I thought it was a lot of fun. Rewatching it in later years, yeah, it's pretty dopey and bad, but I don't know. I still love it and have a lot of affection for it. So I in preparation for the Guardians holiday special, I rewatched this one and I was like, wow, that's just whack, but it's a lot of fun. So there you go.
Where can people find it though? It's just on the internet, I guess, huh?
It is on the internet. I think it's keeps showing up on YouTube. It was released on VHS back a long time ago.
Is it on Disney Plus? I thought I saw it on Disney Plus.
It might be. It might be. Yeah. So I have.
I mean, it's out there. I think anyone listening to the show is probably sophisticated enough to find it.
Yes. Let's say that it is findable. Should you choose
out
to
there.
do so?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't think
thought
they
I-
care about that, but
Well, I mean, they might care, but it's not that they're going to make any money. But yeah, I also watched it because I've loved everything Star Wars. After watching Star Wars, I was like, yeah, I too was curious at the way that everyone was acting. I think you can pick up on it with even if it's
yes.
because they weren't acting the same way as their characters in the movie.
Yeah, especially being an older person watching it, you're like, oh yeah, okay.
Well, also knowing what we know about Harrison Ford and about Carrie Fisher, especially too. I don't know if Mark Hamill had as much of a drug history. I mean, Harrison Ford likes the weed, and obviously Carrie
Yeah.
Fisher,
But,
RIP, loved her drugs. But
I mean, the other exciting thing too, as a kid, was this was the first new Star Wars since the movie.
right,
So
right,
it was like,
1978, Christmas, 1978.
yeah, it's like I don't care whether it's good or not. It's like I want to see more about these characters, and here it is. And
I also think didn't Battlestar Galactica come out in 1978? I think it did.
it did. Yep.
Yeah, so that was cool. And I actually was totally into, because I was into Star Wars, obviously, but I was into the guys who made all the effects, like
Yes.
John Dykstra. And I was like, oh, Dykstra's doing the effects for this? It's got to be super dope. And,
So if you want to see Star Wars on a Battlestar Galactica original series budget,
Yeah,
this is for
yeah.
you. So
yeah, it was not great. Although there was some, I remember being like, oh, there's some really cute girls on this show.
there's some
even then-
there's singing. So
There is. And I was like, oh, Lauren Green? That's the guy from Bonanza, because I loved Bonanza when I was a kid, too. It's like, oh, well, you know what? It's not a... All right,
oh,
it's
you
a
mean
terrible
Battlestar?
show.
Sorry, I was still talking about the holiday special. But
Oh, no, I'm talking about Battlestar. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. There's definitely singing on the... But I don't know if they're singing on the... Although I think there is.
There might
In
be
the
at
one
some
episode,
point.
in the one episode where they go to like the star liner for whatever. I don't even remember.
And come on, you get Beatrice Arthur, Art Carney, Diane Carroll, Jefferson Starship, Harvey Korman.
Yeah.
I mean,
Come on.
how can you go wrong with a holiday
No Carol
special?
Burnett, though.
No, that's true. Maybe that's why it was such a failure. If she had been
That's why it was
involved,
such a failure.
yeah, it would have been much better. So
Carol Burnett can do no wrong. That woman is a talent.
she is hysterical.
Force of nature.
Even if she is in something that's terrible, guaranteed she's going to be outstandingly funny in it.
Yeah.
So
Originally aired November 17th, 1978.
that's right. So
Directed by Steve Binder. Wow, I forgot about that. Between the events of Empire Strikes Back and Star Wars.
we're still another 2 years away from Empire. Maybe a year and a half because it came out in the summer of '80. But yeah,
Of 80, yeah. So, yeah, a year and a half away. But, I mean, I wasn't even sure. I don't think at this point they'd even announced a sequel. Maybe they had by then.
Don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah. But it was like new Star Wars. Hell yeah, I'm watching it. Are you kidding me?
Oh, yeah, it's released on Disney Plus.
See,
So
there you go.
So you don't have to go steal it off the internet, kids.
Yes.
It's ridiculous, but it's just a piece of history that people just should be familiar with. It's just so dumb that it's. I think watching it now, it's almost charming because of of our innocence, right?
Yes, exactly.
It's like, oh, Chewie's got to get home for Life Day. That's wonderful. And people now say, I think I'm just sentimental in my old age. Maybe that's what it is.
Well, and Life Day is actually canon because it was mentioned in
It is.
one of the shows or a couple of the shows. So
And Kashyyyk is canon, obviously.
it is. And George Lucas had nothing to do with this, but whatever.
Well, that's okay. It probably was better because of it.
Well, yeah.
No, I mean, I'm going to say it was the late 70s. There was a lot of drugs. That's all.
Variety specials for popular things were a thing back then. I mean, even like the Donnie and Marie variety show had Star Wars stuff on it, and
everybody did, man.
Yeah.
I mean, Sesame Street had Star Wars shit on it, so it's like
I kind of miss the variety shows. I loved them as a kid because they were just fun. They were singing and skits.
Well, they do have that, like the lip sync battle show where they always show Tom Holland doing lip syncing. I mean, that's a thing still.
Yeah, but
right?
it's not really the variety shows of yore, though. We don't really have those.
Of yore.
Like, there's no like Donnie and Marie show or Captain and Tennille show was a great one too because they had the segment that was the bionic watermelon, which was great. So
I can't believe the holiday special is 98 minutes long too.
I know that's kind of crazy too.
But no one had an edit button back then. So. Anyway,
anywho, what's your pick?
My pick is a limited series that it's on Amazon Prime. I think you and I talked about it. In fact, I think you watched it and recommended it to me, if I remember correctly. Anyway, it's a show featuring Emily Blunt and Chassie Spencer. It's called The English.
Oh, yes. I don't know that I mentioned it to you, but yeah, I think
you did. Oh, well, maybe if you didn't. It's a neo revisionist Western series, which I love Westerns in general.
Yep.
But this thing is super cool. I really, really enjoyed it a lot. The premise is basically Emily Blunt plays an English lady who comes to America in 1870s or whatever, after 1890. Sorry, looking for a man she sees as responsible for the death of her son. Yes. And then she meets Chassie Spencer's character, a Pawnee Indian who was a scout for the army, and they get into misadventure, or adventure depending on your thing. But yeah. I mean, they are terrific together in this show. Emily Blunt is amazing, of course, but I also want to give a special shout out to Rafe Spall, who plays David Melmont, who's one of the villains. He is terrific in this show. But yeah, it's great, and people show up. Like Stephen Ray shows up as a sheriff, and Toby Jones shows up for like 5 minutes. Kieran Hines shows up as a really bad guy who has an interesting scene with Emily Blunt. But I won't go into it. But it's just it's kind of gross. But she. I would say if I had any criticism, it's hard for me to believe Emily Blunt is like a wallflower, like a person who's not empowered. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So this is a perfect character for her. I mean, she sort of comes across, when you first meet her, she sort of comes across as someone who's weak, but she is not weak at all.
No.
And that happens later. But there's it also takes a weird turn. And people, anyway, get sick and stuff. It's just it's a weird sort of thing that a through line that goes through it, I should say. But it's an exceptionally done show. And I cannot recommend it highly enough, especially if you like Westerns, and especially if you're a fan of the revisionist Western. If you are, you know why it's a revisionist Western, because
Yes.
it's not necessarily an upbeat kind of show if you're into that kind of thing. So, but I suppose it does have a positive ending in some ways. Though. It does sort of pay off, and it does. It does end on a positive note. So
I would say that. Yes.
It's terrific, and it's sort of stylized, and it's the way it's shot, and it's beautiful. Spain is a beautiful place, obviously. So they filmed in Spain.
Imagine
which I think
that. Yes.
Yeah, it's super cool. But I loved it. Yeah, I thought it was terrific. So my pick is the English, featuring Emily Blunt, and it's on Amazon Prime. So definitely watch it.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for Westerns and neo-Westerns or anything Western.
Yeah.
So, this is like, yep, watching this for sure.
Yeah, I just think that the Western is something that can be used as a vehicle kind of to explore. I mean, this explores sort of modern themes that resonate today.
Yeah.
But just all the characters are just so like interesting, and their motivations make sense, and they're like so, and it's a lot of like really good character actors that you don't necessarily recognize from anything else, and that makes a big difference too. And they're all really well cast. But Ray Spall is awesome. If he doesn't get more work out of this, I don't know what's going on, because he's excellent as Melmoth.
Yes.
And I think it sort of weaves in some bits of history too, of being, because there are some elements of this that are not true, but sort of based on true events.
Yeah, kind of a revisionist history, or at least enough in there to make you think,
this could have happened.
Yeah.
So I hope that Hugo Blick makes more stuff like this. I hope he makes more Westerns.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's terrific. So I would definitely say you should watch it. So find the Flickcast at the usual places. Joe and I are still on the socials, still on Twitter, but I'm over at Mastodon and Hive and every other fucking place.
Same here. Yes.
Find us over there. And still on Instagram. Still, the Flickcast is still on Instagram and on Twitter and on Facebook and everywhere.
Yes.
Not on Hive yet, because Hive is a freaking nightmare to navigate at the moment.
It is a little weird, especially on Android. It's just really slow.
Right. The Android app is even worse than the iOS app. I feel bad for saying that, because it's basically run by two people, literally two people. So I don't expect it to be perfect. Twitter was a pain in the ass when it first started too. So if you're exploring different options, I do enjoy Mastodon too. I think that's a little bit more sophisticated. I say Mastodon, but there's Mastodon is just one part of the Fediverse, I guess, whatever it is. Someone could explain it better than me.
It's a little complicated, but
it's decentralized social media, basically, and decentralized control of things. There's no ads. There's no, whatever. I mean, again, if you want to find out what Mastodon's like, just get on there and explore. There's lots of people who go on there and they do whole posts about here's what Mastodon is and here's how you can take advantage of it and things like that. So it works a little bit better than Hive. Hive is just having growing pains for sure, because a lot of people are leaving Twitter. So
yep,
there you go. But find the Flickcast, on all your platforms, good pods.
You can go tell two friends, so they'll tell two friends, and so on and so on.
Exactly. Yeah, if you enjoy the show, it's certainly nice to say so. We enjoy doing it, and so now that we've taken our week off, I suppose we'll...
Or if you hate the show, tell two enemies, and,
And they can hate listen.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
So anything else, Joe?
I think that's probably it.
All right, cool. Then that is it. We'll just say, for Joe Dilworth, I'm Chris Ulrich. That was the Flickcast. Thanks so much for listening.